Admit it, Cleet. By the end of this set, you're going to be going to sleep with that music in your head, right?
I already am. I might as well admit it, right? I might as well.
Yes.
I've changed it to be my ringtone. I've changed it to be my alarm clock in the morning. It's
Yeah.
consuming my life slowly but surely.
Maybe I should be flattered by that, but honestly, it's a little sad if that's what it's come to for you.
All right.
Maybe you need to
Yeah.
go through It's a Small World a few more times.
Maybe I do. Let's get something else stuck in my head. Well, listen, we've got a really exciting Gourd behind the scenes. Did I get that
Yes,
right? Gourd behind the
you
scenes
did.
interview for today. Mr. Wes Ramsey from Dollywood is
Great.
here. How are
Oh, I
you?
think we need a correction already, don't we?
Hey,
I think there's
it
a miss.
actually that happens all the time. I'm used to it, so I answer to everything all the time. How are y'all doing?
Great. It's Ramey. Okay, I see what you. That's the correction we need. I'm so sorry. I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Good, awesome. Well, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Oh, we
Yeah,
appreciate you coming on.
for sure.
But
Thank you.
no, so Wes, you are the PR director, PR VP, one of the two. I forget what the exact
Director.
title was at Dollywood.
Yes,
Give us
sir.
a little bit of a background of who Wes Ramey is and what your role is at Dollywood.
Well, probably a little bit boring to hear about me. I can tell you can probably see kind of some of the decorations around my office. I was still am a huge motorsports fan. So originally wanted to work in motorsports and actually worked at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee, which is near my hometown. I'm from a
Okay.
small town in Virginia called Gate City. So was able to work and do PR for Bristol Motor Speedway and Bristol Dragway for about 6 years. And Dollywood was my home park. So it was about an hour and a half away from where I grew up. My wife and I went to college about 25 minutes from Dollywood, and we have both grown up going to the park. So it was kind of really part of both of our history. And one day I was looking for a change, and we were in Dollywood, and we are walking around, and I noticed how much fun all of the employees seemed to be having. Forget the guests, all the employees seemed to be having a great time. And I learned quickly, that we are hosts here at Dollywood, and that's because we host you as guests, basically in what is our home. And that was why everyone was so excited. It was just part of the culture here at Dollywood. And so I got back home and I said, I'm going to send my resume there. I bet they need somebody in PR at some point. And just sent a cover letter and a resume to Pete Owens, who is still who I work for to this day. And about a week or two later, they called me to come in for an interview, and I've been here 13 seasons.
Oh,
So it was a great time in my life to be able to come to Dollywood. I know that there was a plan for me to be here. It's just a great place that I enjoy being. We are shown that we're appreciated, and I love every minute of it. I can't believe that it has been 13 years. It goes by really fast, but it's a place that I'm proud to work at. I'm proud to bring my kids. Always excited. They love theme parks. And this is definitely probably their favorite, which is always kind of a moment of pride for me when we talk about all these other parks we go to. And then they're like, we just want to go to Hollywood. So that's very special for me. And to be able to represent this company and what we stand for and what we do is probably for sure the highlight of my career. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome. Wow.
so now in Dollywood and much of the Hearst chain does family friendly events
Mhm.
in October, September and
Correct.
October, which is the other side of our series. We have Behind the Scare, which we have a
Right.
whole different, more like what my background is.
Right.
But this is we do a little bit more pumpkin festival stuff for the
Mhm.
family friendly events because there's actually a lot of about as many haunt attractions we're interested in coming on as there were family friendly ones. So
Yeah.
so tell is what is the background of the and let me get this right. It is the Great Pumpkin I'm sorry, the Harvest Festival Great Pumpkin Luminights.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So it's a mouthful, right?
yeah, it is. And I want to make sure I can jot down, make sure I get it all. Actually, I think I forgot featuring the
Yeah, that's
Great
right.
Pumpkin Luminights.
But
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
get it
so
right.
the Harvest Festival really started in the mid 90s, and it was an event to really celebrate this special time of year here in the Appalachian Mountains. So kind of like a homecoming in a lot of ways. A lot of great music. Southern gospel is featured heavily, and definitely was featured heavily then because that was kind of part of the event at that time. And the event has kind of changed a little bit through the years, but back before the addition of Great Pumpkin Luminights in 2017, we would close every day around 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on a weekday versus a weekend. And we were looking for something to do to give families another opportunity to come out, have a time for them to be able to make those memories. So the idea was born for Great Pumpkin Luminights. And like I said, in 2017, we hosted the first one, and it really took off. And I think that first year we were even surprised a little bit by the turnout from folks. And we found that it was because people wanted something different to do with their families. And you kind of highlighted that there's so many haunted attractions and things to do that time of year that if you have small kids or you're not really interested in that, in our immediate region here, there was really not a lot of activity for you to do with your family. So Great Pumpkin Luminights really did give us that opportunity to have some family-friendly events that time of year that you could come out and enjoy as a group. Didn't matter if you were scared by haunted activities. That wasn't here. We like to say we are spooky, not scary. So it really did give every member of the family a great opportunity to come out and enjoy an event this time of year without having to worry about being, scared or things like that. And it's worked really well for us. And I know the first year after we opened it, we won the USA Today 10 Best Award that first year for Best Harvest Time event. And that's something we're proud of. And our teams do an amazing job to make the park look the way it does for this festival. We have about 12,000 pumpkins they bring in addition to all of the display funkins. We call those funkins. They're foam pumpkins. So it's a lot of work that they do to get the park to look the way it does, but they do an amazing job, as they do with every festival.
Around, if you have the ability to approximate this, how long does it take for the park to go through that transformation into the harvest overlay and the Illuminates overlay? When do you have to start both with the planning, and then when do you have to start with the actual, okay, we need to get boots on the ground and put some decorations in?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, they're planning constantly. So we're already looking ahead to next year. So trying to figure out what we'll do for next year's events. But in terms of harvest, they'll really start as soon as our summer festival ends, which was the first weekend in August this year. They'll go in, they'll start taking out all of those summer decorations and really start in some areas of the park. They're able to go ahead and start bringing in some of those harvest decorations. And then as the month of August progresses, you'll see more and more of that across the park. And now we'll open on September 12th. You'll really start seeing a ramp up of the final installations over the following days here. But it really does just take a lot of effort. What's even more impressive is after the Harvest Festival ends, which will be on October 27th, our Christmas festival, which we are, we've always won the golden ticket for that. It's the #1 event in the industry for Christmas. That will begin on Saturday, November 1st. So we have a few days to take all of the harvest, all of those 12,000 pumpkins I mentioned, all those displays. We have a number of booths that come in where we have visiting crafters who will do demonstrations alongside our typical crafters that we always have in the park. All of that has to come out, and all of those Christmas lights come in that short period of time as well. And our 6 million Christmas lights, we start hanging those in June, but everything else transitions during that time. So our special events team, and they have to take down all the summer decorations and put those up. So when we get to the end of summer, it's really a lot of logistics for them to determine, okay, these things need to come out while these things are coming in. You'll see some times where things are crossing over. It's not uncommon that week when we call it crunch week between harvest and Christmas, where you're seeing pumpkins going out on one forklift and another forklift is bringing in garland and bells and snowmen and Christmas trees. And it really is a lot of work for them to do, but they do it with a smile, because seeing the guests' face, when they come in and see either of these two festivals for the first time, I mean, you really, you see the look on their face and you understand why these events win the awards that they do.
So when the Christmas event, and we were talking about Christmas when I was bringing it up because we were talking about it here, you were anyway, November 1st is when you flip on the Christmas lights.
Yes.
When does a harvest festival, the Luminights, when does it officially end? Because in my head, October 31st is when all things pumpkin stop, and then Christmas, the Christmas music starts up, at least
Right.
the next day up here in Cincinnati anyway. But so how many days do you have in between when the last guest sees a pumpkin to they see the Christmas lights? How many days are we talking there?
So the 27th is the last day of the festival. So the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, they basically have 4 days to get everything turned to be able to open for Christmas on November 1st. So it's a quick turn when you look at the amount of just change across the park that occurs during that time frame to switch, I mean, completely from one festival to another. And that's something we take pride in. We say that every season here really does have a different feel. And from our flower and food festival in the spring, the summer festival during the summer, obviously, and then harvest and Christmas, you really can get a completely different guest experience when you come to the park. And a lot of that is because of the work that goes into completely changing the atmosphere from every square inch of the park.
Wow.
And I can
So
imagine it's 24/7 operations for those 4 days.
Yeah, it really is. We have about a 50-foot tall pumpkin tree that they put into our market square area that has to be installed with a crane. It has to come out the same way. So you have that work going on while we're putting in snow blowers and Christmas trees. And, if you think about it, if you've been to our Harvest Festival and Great Pumpkin Luminights, there are some areas of the park, our Arctic Passage during our Christmas festival and the Northern Lights during the Christmas festival. Those lights are already hung because we have to do a lot of lift work to be able to hang those. So a few years ago, they knew they needed to be able to get those up because that was just too much to be able to add during that time period between the two festivals. So the special events team, they got creative. They said, we need to hang these. What can we do during harvest? So we added fog machines up there. And during the Harvest Festival, it's kind of like Spooky Hollow up through there. They use the same Christmas lights, but they turn them purple, and there's just a little bit of little ominous music, and then those fog machines to give it a different look so that we can go ahead and get them installed early so they're not part of that crunch week activity that has to take place. So they've had to think logistically a lot of ways where they can be more efficient and use a lot of creativity to make things work so that we can make these two festivals bump up so close to each other.
right. So we beyond the physical environment shifts and the pumpkins and the beautiful decorations, and I'm sure just like you guys probably have the great benefit of your natural environment starts changing
Yes.
too, which is I'm sure just gorgeous.
Yes.
But beyond that, what can the guests expect when they're coming to the Harvest Festival in terms of differences of food, merchandise, experiences? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, well, the one thing you mentioned that is my favorite thing about Dollywood is the food.
Yeah.
So our culinary team does an amazing job every year of coming up with new menu items, and we've got the tasting pass, so you can select 5 different items to enjoy with that. But it really does come down to every team comes in and puts their best foot forward. As I said, culinary with completely new items. Our entertainment team has a number of artists that they'll have. We have about 700 live music performances during
Whoa.
the Harvest Festival. So
Wow.
every stage throughout the park is going to have multiple shows every day. We have a number of larger acts that we'll be bringing in during the festival this year to do longer stays. So typically we would have folks come in for a night or two. This time we've got Triumphant Quartet, which they're here locally, but they're here September 15th to 19th in Celebrity Theater. The Grascals are here for 3 days. Sidewalk Prophets, a contemporary Christian band, here September 29th to October 3rd. Emily Ann Roberts, she was on The Voice. She is a local from here in Knoxville. She's here October 8th to the 12th. Rhonda Vincent and The Rage, which is one of the most popular acts that we have all year. They're here October 5th and through the 7th, and then the 13th and 14th of October. So a lot of entertainment that you'll find throughout the park. And then those overlays we were talking about with Great Pumpkin Luminights. Every evening, the park just completely transforms with all those lit pumpkins all throughout the park. And then we have a new element this year called Candy Corn Country, which will be a lot of fun for folks as well.
Is there anything that you can tell us about Candy Corn Country, or is it you have to come and find out?
Yeah, well, it's fun. So there's a little backstory that a farmer decided he wanted to win some blue ribbons for all of his tomatoes and pumpkin, or all of his vegetables. So he
Okay.
decided he was going to sneak into the country fair early and just plant all of his stuff right there, let it grow really big, and then right in time for the country or for the fair, he would just harvest everything. But everybody in country fair here at Dollywood's having so much fun, it turned all into candy corn. So they're going to have all kinds of just different takes on that. So there will be tomatoes and potatoes and corn, obviously, that all look like candy corn. There's a candy corn family. There will be candy like 6 foot tall, huge candy corn figures all throughout the park, just as a fun nod to that. Some people, I think some people love candy corn, some people hate candy corn, but everybody kind of has fun with it. So we decided to take that and really take that up a notch. And it's really cute. They've actually started installing some of the pieces of that over the past week to get ready for the festival to start next week. And the candy corn characters are really cute, and a lot of those overlays, just the creativity and cleverness that was put into that area. I think a lot of folks are going to love that, and it'll be a fun way to celebrate this time of year.
And where is that? If like never been to the Harvest Festival, but I've been to
Yes,
Dollywood for Christmas and in the summer.
yes.
Where would it like?
It'll be down in the country fair area. So the entire
Okay,
country fair area of the park will have candy corn country as part of it.
awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. It'll be
So,
fun.
so let's use the candy corn country as an example. Okay, I'm some young hotshot person coming in, and I'm not young and not a hotshot, but yeah, I will just use that as an example. And I come to whatever creative meeting and say, "Aha! I've got an idea. It's about this, this, and this, and here's a storyboard." From the very first time that is presented to the time it is rolled out to the guest, approximately how long does it go into, and how many revisions does it make?
Well, I started hearing about candy corn country myself about this time last year. So, like I said, with a lot of these festivals, they're looking a minimum of a year out. Some of them they're looking further out to make sure that budgets are planned and everything can make its way through the design process. Candy corn country is a great overlay for that area. There's a lot of work that went into it, but we do have projects that take much longer than that. I feel like it was turned pretty quickly from the time we're ready to announce that to the finished product. But a lot of these, I mentioned these candy corn characters. They're 6 feet tall, and from what I hear, and they range. So it's a family. So you have the dad is like 6 feet, and there's a son and a daughter, and they're about 3 feet tall. But from what I've been told, I've not had a chance to see them yet. There will be about 30 of these candy corn characters scattered all throughout Country Fair. So all of that had to be produced. All of the candy corn carrots and candy corn potatoes and tomatoes, all of these things have to be produced. And they've been working on them all throughout the year to be able to have them ready to go for the festival. But, it really depends on, what we're working on as to how far out that takes place. So, obviously rides, you're looking at 3 to 4 years. Eugene Naughton, our park president, has a 10-year rolling plan that he's always looking, what do the next 10 years look like? And when a year finishes, he'll tack on another year to the end. So it rolls and we
Hmm.
always have a 10-year look forward, which, has been very helpful as we start to look at rides and attractions and lodging, and gives everybody a good framework of where we're headed and what we're trying to accomplish.
Cool.
I love the level of storytelling. Yeah.
Yes.
When now you using the candy corn country as an example, because you mentioned all the components of that. When a guest comes in the first time and they enter that area, how are they brought into that story? How is it? How do you make sure that when they start experiencing these different components, they're immersed into it?
Well, to your point, storytelling is a lot of what we do here at the park. So there will actually be little storyboards along the way that kind of tells the story, so that if it will be fun to walk through and experience, but there will be little things along the way that kind of give a nod to what's going on and the storyline behind it. But because, we are very highly themed, as you mentioned, a lot of the places throughout the park, as you enter a new themed area, you can find pieces of that story either through signage or just paying attention to what you're seeing kind of tells that story. But even with Wildwood Grove, as you walk into Wildwood Grove, the story of Wildwood Grove is there so that you can read that before you go in, and it gets you into that frame of mind as you go into that experience so that you can really enjoy it to the fullest. So that will be along the way throughout candy corn country, just to help folks kind of understand what they're seeing.
You know, it's funny. We all this talk about Dollywood, and there's no cinnamon bread in front of me, and I might
That's a shame.
I might cry. I really might. I might be brought to tears because of that, but I'll get over it eventually, I'm
Well,
sure.
you know, it's funny you say that. We last week, I think they had a photo shoot, and there happened to be 3 cinnamon bread loaves that ended up in our break room here in the
Oh
marketing office. And
no.
I always joke, and I tweeted this a few years ago, or I guess posted it on X, I guess is what you say now. But
Oh, yeah.
like, it's hilarious. Like my snacks in my break room at work are probably better than just about anybody else's anywhere else. When you can walk into the break room and find cinnamon bread, and it's kind of a common thing, that's pretty special. So it's a great place, and to have that little perk is just something else to add to why it's so great to be here.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, is there anything this year that we've talked about Candy Cane Country, of course, but is there anything else this year that we haven't thrown out yet that you wanted to highlight for guests that would be experiencing the event?
Yeah, well, you know, it is our 40th anniversary season, so we've had a lot going on all year long to celebrate that. And back on May 3rd, which was the anniversary date, so this is, like I said, the 40th season. We had a special event. Dolly came in for that, so that was just a great time to really be able to celebrate 40 years of Dollywood. Obviously, the Harvest Festival with the addition of Candy Corn Country will be fun for guests. Smoky Mountain Christmas, again, it's the leading Christmas theme park event, and something we're proud of. Like I said, those Christmas lights actually start going up in June. So a lot of work to hang 6 million lights, but the park will be spectacular and beautiful as we end the year. And then I know that everybody's looking forward to something special that we're going to announce on September 17th. Very proud of that, to be able to roll that out and let everybody finally know what's going on here for our 2026 season. But to be able to make an announcement like that during our 40th anniversary season is just amazing, and really does give us a lot of momentum as we go forward. You know, we won the TripAdvisor #1 theme park honor earlier this year, and all of that's based on actual guest reviews. So that's very special for us, because we know that when people leave a TripAdvisor review, a lot of times you're probably not in the best frame of mind if you've gone to TripAdvisor to leave a review. But the fact that so many people leave here and they have had such a positive experience that they take the time to leave that review on TripAdvisor is special for us. So to earn that 3 out of the last 4 years has been very special, and really does show the effort that our hosts put into making sure that our guests feel welcomed and that they can enjoy their time here, because we want them to come into the park and just forget everything that's going on outside the gates and just spend that time together. We want them to feel like they're part of the family. You know, our tagline is love every moment. That means 2 things. We want you to love every moment of your time here, but we want you to feel loved and feel like you're part of our family every moment while you're here. And I think that's really the key differentiator when you come to Dollywood. So to see that our guests who come are leaving those reviews that say that and are so positive about it means we're doing, at the end of the day, what we really want to do, and that's to give families that place and that time to be able to just enjoy each other and to make memories they're always going to have.
Awesome.
Wes, question I got is, because in PR, I don't know how linked up you are and how much your job function leaks over into the marketing function, but when people are coming down to Pigeon Forge, of all places in September, not more so October than September, but when the leaves start changing, the entire, you could put a pin in the middle of Pigeon Forge and draw about a 50-mile radius around that, and everything is an attraction. The trails are an attraction. The foothills are an attraction. The strip through Pigeon Forge is an attraction. Gatlinburg is, Ober-Gatlinburg, Anakista, the go-kart tracks. Everything's an attraction down there. I mean, you're obviously colleagues with everybody along the strip, but you're also competitors. How is it that Dollywood every year consistently keeps rolling out new things that successfully competes against all these other attractions in the area? Meanwhile, they're still competing and winning as well. I mean, it's, if people listening to this have not been to the Pigeon Forge area in October, It's like a bucket list. You got to go there once at least.
Yeah, I grew up coming to this area all throughout the year, and harvest this time of year, it's just beautiful, as you mentioned, because everything here is just tucked into the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It's the #1 most visited national park in the country. And those trails are beautiful this time of year. The mountains, as the leaves change, just come to life. But as you look at this entire area, you mentioned competition, and I guess you can look at it that way. But at the same time, every family that comes here, they're going to be looking for something different to do. Some may want to come to Dollywood, and some may decide, hey, let's go to Titanic. Let's go to see the Stampede show, or take a pink Jeep tour through the Smoky Mountains. Go shopping over at the Tanger Outlets. There's all these different things to do. Go ride go-karts. It just so many things to enjoy. It really all, as the saying is, high tide raises all ships, and I think that's the way we try to look at it here. We want to be good partners to our entire area, because we first want everybody to come here. We want them to see Sevier County, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and Sevierville as a complete family destination where there's so many experiences to do here that you can fill up an entire week. And if we can get folks to come here and experience that, then we're all going to benefit. They're not going to fill all 7 days going to Dollywood. They're not going to be able to. Now, there's a bunch of mountain coasters. They may be able to fill 7 days of going to mountain coasters, but there's a great variety in those. We've got Ripley's Aquarium in Gatlinburg. You've got all the fun things to do on the Strip in Gatlinburg. So when you look at the entire area, I think we look at each other as, you can say competition, but I think we cooperate as well, just to try and work together to get people to see that there are other vacation destinations in this country outside of the ones that everybody thinks of for family vacation. And Pigeon Forge is certainly one of those. Gatlinburg, Sevierville. There's so much to do here and to enjoy that you can easily come and spend an entire week. And I'll be honest, my family, we live in Knoxville, which is about an hour away. And my family, we come up and spend weekends ourselves. And there's so many things to do in the area that we don't get tired of it. My kids beg to come to go to the arcades and to ride go-karts, go to Dollywood, and to do all of the things here. And we're just lucky to have a destination like this in our backyard. So it really is a great place to come. And as you mentioned, harvest it's beautiful. Christmas is great. Not only do we have lights, everybody across Sevier County puts up Christmas lights, and we have Winterfest in Sevier County, and it really is just a fun time. I always say, if you come here during Christmas and you leave and you are still not in the Christmas spirit, then you're doing something wrong, because we do all we can to put you in the Christmas spirit when you come up here.
Awesome.
Dumb question. This may run us over a little bit, but I'm really curious.
Oh,
a couple of years ago, I forget when it was. It might have been 2021 or 22. I forget which. The wildfires in the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area. How did that affect, or was it even at the same time as your fall event?
It was actually in 2016, and
It's been that long
occurred.
ago.
Yeah, it has. It's hard to believe, but it has been that long. So that was in 2016, and it occurred right around Thanksgiving. So we were actually in our Christmas season at that point. But it's one of those things that I think goes back to what I was just talking about everybody banding together. It was one of those times that I think really illustrated what happens when everyone comes together with a common goal, because so many people, immediately afterward, the national coverage ends and the story about the recovery does not continue. So we all knew that we had to work together to show people that, yes, there was some damage and a lot of folks lost their homes, and we all banded together. Dolly had the My People Fund, where we raised about $13 million so that every family who lost a home, they were able to get about $10,000 for immediate needs until their insurance could take over. But if you look at that and what everybody did to go out to tell folks, hey, Sevier County is open. We wanted people to come back to keep people in work, keep people working. And Dollywood, we closed, I think maybe 2 days, 3 days. I can't remember exactly now. And then we opened back up, and so many folks did in the area that were able to, so that we could keep tourism in the area, keep folks employed. at all the businesses in the county that depend on tourism. And so that was very important. And I think it showed all of us that, we are one big tourism family here in Sevier County, and it's important to support each other.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool. Well, thank you so much for, we will keep
Awesome.
you here forever, but thank you so much for
Well,
giving us a little bit about the, the Harvest Festival and stopping by our little podcast here at the Attractions Group. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I
Thanks.
appreciate it. And let me know anytime you want to have us. We're glad to talk about any of the festivals we have going on. And like I said, we may have something very fun to talk about here in a couple of weeks. So have us back on.
Clete, we didn't time that out very well. We should have
We should have waited. Yeah, we should have waited, I guess.
Well, we did kind of keep it a little bit secret as to when that announcement was coming. So you all didn't have a good gauge on when that was going to happen, but it did work out that we can tease it. So yeah, in a couple of weeks on the 17th, you will find out.
All right. Super
excited. Have
excited.
you on sometime on our normal podcast, sometime around that to talk about it.
Be glad to do it.
Cool.
All right. Wes, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all.